Good afternoon. Welcome to this month's Sugar CRM user group. I am one of your hosts today. I'm Deneen Ponarelli. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Technology Advisors. If this is your first time with us on one of our user groups, just a reminder, you have to make sure that you use your computer audio, make sure your flash is enabled in your browser. Usually you'll find that at the top where the URL is on the browser. On mine, it always tries to block it, so I always have to unblock it. You're going to control your volume and all that through the browser as well. If you have any questions throughout, please feel free to toss those in the Q&A area, and Justin and Megan will address them as they come across them. So as I just mentioned, Justin and Megan will be answering your questions because they're going to be presenting today on mobile capabilities for Sugar. Megan is our Sugar trainer and business analyst, and Justin is our Sugar practice manager. So I'm going to hand the floor over to them to get started.
Thank you, Deneen. Today we'll be looking at the Sugar mobile app. We're going to take a look at installation because there are a number of Sugar mobile apps out there that are available. We're going to look at some of the most popular features of the mobile app, as well as searching for data. And then we'll take a look at what kind of configurations you can make to the mobile app, followed up by new releases, upcoming events, and any Q&A you'll have for us.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the absolute basics, which is how to get the Sugar mobile app. So the Sugar mobile app is an app you can download just like any other app on your mobile device, so Apple or Android phones and tablets. You'll go to your App Store on an Apple device or your Google Play Store on an Android device and just search for Sugar CRM or Sugar CRM Mobile. When you do that search, the first one that comes up typically for me is the correct one, but just there are various other versions of the app out there. So you want to look for the correct new Sugar logo, which is the first picture here on the slide. If you are seeing the really old blue Sugar logo, that is their really old mobile app. They still have a few people using their old open source product. And so the app is still out there for those who are still using that, but not very common at this point. Once you have the app downloaded and when you open it up, it's going to prompt you to log in. It's going to ask you first for the URL of your Sugar instance. So when you pull up Sugar in your browser, everything up to the .com is typically what you're looking for there. And once you put that in, it will validate that it can connect to your Sugar correctly. And then it will ask you for your username and your password so that it can log in.
All right, now we're going to look at some of those popular uses for the mobile app, specifically calling a contact or any person in the system and logging that phone call into Sugar. If you're on your way somewhere, you can take a look at any notes related to an account or contact before you get to a meeting. Once you've had that meeting, you can enter meeting notes and follow-up items into your mobile phone and have those sync into Sugar. The mobile app does support Android and Siri voice-to-text functionality, so I'll quickly demo that. We can easily pull up driving directions to any record in the system. And you can launch email and SMS messages to phone numbers via the mobile app, but you need to be aware that those are not automatically logged into the Sugar history. You would have to later on use the Outlook plugin or the CollabSpot add-on to log those sent emails into the Sugar history. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And you're now looking at my phone, which is Android. This is the global search screen. This is what would come up by default when you first log in. It will show you your recently viewed records. You can also switch to showing different filters here, which Megan's going to look at in more depth later on. The global search also works the same as the global search in the Sugar client, where you can click up here to search the entire database. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and try to look up an account. I could click on my recently viewed account here and go to my account Technology Advisors. We have the menu bar up here where I can do some of the items. If I was getting ready to go to a meeting with this account, I could easily click the map button. And it's going to open up in my phone's mapping system where I could then get directions. I'll go ahead and jump back into Sugar. Once I'm there, or perhaps before I left, I could go to Related Records and view any sort of old meeting notes where I've had a Q1 meeting, Q2 meeting, Q4 meeting. Click on those to see the detailed information about the meeting notes. Clicking the back button up here, I can quickly get back to my account. If I wanted to go ahead and call one of the contacts, I could do that here by clicking the Call button. It's going to load up my phone program. Once that call is over, it's going to prompt me, would you like to log that call into Sugar? You would then want to click Yes and fill in whatever information you want to put in here. For the description here, I could use my standard Google keyboard with the voice to text, and here I can put in my meeting notes or the phone call notes and save those. So now I've done voice to text, I've logged that call into Sugar. Similarly, I can launch an email to this person using my phone's whatever email system I want to use, probably Outlook for Business. And then send that via the Outlook application. But again, that's not going to record to Sugar history. And I've been told a long time ago by a Sugar developer that the issue there is that the Android app, as well as the Apple app, cannot talk to the email apps correctly to record that email. I don't know if that's still true, but I know it's a common feature request to be able to record email history that you're sending. After the meeting, similarly, I would want to log a related meeting history event. So I would come over to my Related tab down here, click on Meetings, and click the plus sign. It's going to populate with the current date and time, or similar date and time. And again, I could do my nice speech to text to record my meeting notes, period. And now I've gone through the whole process of calling my person I'm meeting with, driving there, recording all that data, viewing the data in the system, and then emailing them and entering meeting notes, and potentially even, of course, adding follow-up tasks if I need something in the future or I want to assign this to someone else in the system.
So Justin has walked you through some of the basic actions you can take in the app. He stole my thunder a little bit on some of these next topics like he likes to do, but that's okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about some different ways you can find data on mobile, including how to use global search, saved filters, sorting lists, and accessing dashboards. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen share here as well.
Justin, before she starts, you had a question.
Right. When I take the meeting note, did I go to the meeting section or the note section? I went ahead and clicked the plus sign next to the meeting to designate it was a meeting I held in person. I could also add a note. Some companies use meetings, some companies use notes, some companies use both. It's really up to what your processes are, but certainly both are available in mobile.
All right, so I have an Apple phone, an iPhone, so you're seeing my iPhone here. You can see the app looks very much the same, so it's very much a consistent user experience, whether you're using this on an Android device or an Apple device. And as Justin said, the first screen that's going to come up when you log in is the global search screen. So from here, I can hit the magnifying glass up at the top of my screen, and I can do a global search from the app, exactly like I can do that at the top of my screen in the Sugar web application. Sugar actually recently made a change to have the exact same underlying technology driving global search on mobile as drives mobile search when you're using the main web application. So you should get the exact same results whether you're searching in global search at your computer or on your mobile device when you do that search. And so I can go ahead and type my search term in here. Of course, I can also navigate through the menu and go into a particular section, a particular module. So I could go into, say, the opportunities section. And at that point, I still have that magnifying glass at the top of my screen. I can still do a search within the opportunities list. But I can also use any filters that I've already created and saved. So if I use the filter menu here on the upper left, I can see a list of all of the filters that are available.
I don't think anyone can see your screen.
Uh-oh. Well, let's back up a step and try that again then. How about now?
From my end, it looks like yes.
I see it now.
Okay.
If anyone else is still having a problem, let us know.
The joys of technical software difficulties. All right, so this is the global search page, again, that comes up when you first log in. So here at the top of the screen is where I hit that magnifying glass to do the global search. And this, again, is what would be the exact same as doing that global search from your computer. Or I can hit the menu bar in the upper left corner to go into a particular module, like, say, the Opportunities module. So this is going to bring up a list of the opportunities, just like it would do if I clicked the word opportunities at the top of my screen in Sugar. And from here, I can either use the magnifying glass at the top to search within the list of opportunities for a particular opportunity, or I can use my filters to change the list that I'm viewing. So the upper left box that says My Open Opportunities is actually the filter that I have turned on at the moment. And I can tap on that box to bring up a list of all of the filters that I have available, which is going to be any filters that I have created and saved when I was working at my computer. So you cannot currently create any new filters from mobile, but you can use any filters that you have created and just pick the filter that you want, and it will go ahead and refresh that list. You can also change the sort order for a longer list. So that upper right corner box that says By Date Modified, if I click on the Date Modified box, it will give me a list of all of the different fields that I can sort by. We're going to talk about how that list is configured a little bit later on. And then one final thing I wanted to make sure I pointed out is that you can get to your home page dashboards from mobile. I have a couple of different dashboards set up in this system, one called My Dashboard and one called Home Dashboard, so you're seeing both of those listed there in my menu bar. If I tap on one of those, it will give me little mini boxes showing me all of the different things that I have on my dashboard. So these are all of the different widgets that I've configured on my home page. And I can tap on any of those to go ahead and pull that up on screen and see the charts or see the list. I can page through at the bottom to go to the next one on the list, or I can hit the kind of the grid button in the upper left corner next to the menu bar to go back to the list of all of the different dashboards and then pick something else from that list.
right, next we're going to take a quick look at configuring the mobile app. There's two different places you can do this, the admin mobile section and then the admin studio. I'm going to take a look at the mobile and Megan will take a look at the studio. So let's go ahead and share my screen here. Over here we're looking at a Sugar demo instance, the one I was logged into on my phone. To configure what modules are available and as well as whether offline access is available, I'd want to click on my profile button up here and go to the admin screen. Of course, a user must be an admin in order to get to the admin screen. Scrolling down just a little bit, in the system section, we find mobile as one of the options. Clicking on that takes us to our mobile configuration. And similar to a lot of other screens in the system, I can drag and drop modules on and off the enabled list to get rid of modules I wouldn't want to see. For example, most people don't use the employees module, and maybe you're not using revenue line items for your specific use case, or maybe you're just doing sales, so you don't need cases either. So then you just have the most basic modules in the system. I could also enable offline mode, which allows your users to download data to the mobile app for use when they don't have access to an internet connection. For example, if they're on an airplane or in the middle of nowhere. The data is, of course, encrypted, and you can modify it when you're in offline mode so that when you reconnect to a network, it will automatically sync new records and updated records back with the main system.
The rest of the configurations for mobile are done in Studio, where you make a lot of your other administrator changes, like changing fields and changing layouts. The key changes that you're going to be able to make in Studio are to your mobile layouts. So the mobile app does have its own particular layouts, and we're going to see three of them: the list view layout, the detail view layout, and the edit view layout. So I'm going to go ahead and go through a couple of slides first and then switch to the screen share so there's a little bit less back and forth, but then we'll see all of these things in Studio as well. So as you might be aware from using the mobile app, when you're looking at a list of records on the mobile app, the screen only has space to show you two data fields. So essentially it's the name plus one other data point that's going to show on the list. You can select other fields on the mobile layout, so it lets you pick more than two. And the reason it does that is because all of the fields that you pick are available in that sort by menu. So any fields that you pick on the list view layout will be available for sorting, but only the first two are going to actually show up as fields displayed in the list of records. One tip here, if you want to try to show more than two fields on that list view, is to create a calculated field within Sugar that takes several fields values and does what in technical terms is called concatenate, which just means throw it all together. Concatenates those values together into a single field and use that as your second field. So essentially what you're doing is creating a field that has two or three things in it and using that as one of your two fields as a way of getting more data points on the screen. Concatenate, exactly. Throw it all together. Besides your list view layout, you also have a detail view layout. So the detail view layout is going to control what fields are displayed when a user clicks into a particular record on mobile, and what order they're going to show in when they're looking at that Details tab. A quick note here that dependent fields do work on the mobile detail view. So if you have any fields that only display when certain conditions are true, they will continue to only display when the conditions are met in mobile. One other sort of fancy thing that the mobile app does is it hides any fields that are empty, so it doesn't take up space on screen showing you an empty field with nothing next to it on the detail layout. So the field may be there on the layout and still not show on the screen if it happens to just be empty on that particular record. And one thing that I learned the hard way one time, a while back, is that you have to have the necessary data to make the buttons at the top of the screen work. So Justin was showing you the buttons for doing driving directions and making phone calls and sending emails. The corresponding address and email address and phone number fields have to be on your detail view layout in order for those buttons to work. If you take the address off of your layout, for example, the map button is going to just disappear because it's smart enough to realize that it can't do a map if there is no address. So you do want to make sure that even if you don't care about showing the address in the Details tab, you still want to keep it on your layout if you'd like to be able to use that driving directions function. And then finally, one thing that's different about the mobile app versus your main layouts within Sugar is that there is a separate layout for the edit view. And this corresponds to the way the application actually works. When you go to edit a record on mobile, it brings up a separate page versus just making things clickable the way the web application does on the main page. And so the edit view layout controls which fields display when you are in that edit view, when you choose to edit a record. Most of the time, you probably want your edit view to pretty much match your detail view because otherwise it can be a little bit confusing for users if there's different fields available or things are in a different order when they have to switch back and forth between the two views. And dependent fields will also work on the mobile edit view. Calculated fields will work, but they work a little bit differently than they do in the main application. So in the main application, most of the time, calculated fields will update in real time as you are making changes to the fields that drive them. They will not update in real time as you're editing values on mobile, but they will correctly calculate when you click Save. So the calculations will be applied. You just won't see them updating in real time the way you do when you're working at your desktop or your laptop.
Sorry to interrupt you. I received 2 people said they couldn't see the slides.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, sorry guys, before this started we were having some technical issues and then we thought they were resolved, so just hang tight for a second here.
I'm going to click that push to audience button.
I did. I clicked the push to audience button again.
I think you're going to share your screen.
I am going to share my screen, yeah. So Deneen, maybe you can just share the slides when we send out our follow-up email.
I'll definitely do that, yeah, for any additional info. When Megan shares her, okay. Okay, some people can see now, it seems. Maybe share your screen. Okay, Megan's going to share her screen. If you can't see, shout out to me, and we'll just figure out what's going on. Sorry, guys, this is an issue. I don't know why. It's being weird today.
All right, so you should be seeing Studio now, and I've got the Opportunities module open here in Studio since that's what I've been just using as my example here today for whatever reason. So you can see within Studio, you're probably used to going into the Layout section to control your main Sugar layouts, like what your pages look like when you're working at your computer. But if you want to change the layouts for the mobile application, you need to go into the Mobile Layout section. The mobile app does use separate layouts because Sugar realizes you may have more fields in a particular module than you really need to show on the mobile app. This allows you to pick what's most important for the mobile app versus everything you want to track in the system on a regular day-to-day basis. And within the mobile layouts, again, we're going to see those 3 different layouts available. I talked about the list view first, so I'll go there first. Here again, anything that you make available on this list, either in the default or the available tab, it doesn't matter which one in this example, those are going to be the fields that are available in that sort by menu that you saw earlier. And here is where only those first 2 fields are going to show up in the mobile app. Let me see if I can get my phone back up on my screen here. So if I go back into the Opportunities module, you can see, let me get a bigger list here. I actually have a whole series of values coming up as that second field. And this is where I did that concatenation function. So I'm taking the account name and the sales stage and the opportunity amount and putting them all into the single field that I just named mobile concat and displaying that as my second field here. If I jump over to the field section I can show you, if I can get my phone off the screen here, there we go. I can show you what that actually looks like. So this is using Sugar's calculated value functionality, where you can define a formula for the field. And the function that I'm using is just called concat. And then it's just a list of the things that I want to put in there. So I have a list of the different functions, the different fields that I want to be displaying. The other two layouts we have under mobile layouts are, again, the detail view and the edit view. So the detail view lets you choose the fields that are displayed when you are in the record detail view in the app. So if I click on one of these opportunities, you can see the fields here correspond to the fields here on my layout. And again, if something happens to be empty, they will hide it. It looks like this didn't happen to have any empty values on it, but let's just say for whatever reason I didn't have an expected close date on this particular record. It would just go directly from account name to assign to on my mobile app. And here again, you can see in this case, in the Opportunities module, we typically don't have phone numbers or addresses. So you can see none of the buttons at the top of my screen are there. I don't have numbers to call or email or pull up driving directions for my opportunity, and that's because I don't have any of the correct types of data on my mobile layout. If I happen to add an address to the Opportunities module for some reason, and I put that on my mobile layout, the mapping button would appear. And then the final layout comes up when you go to the Edit menu or the Edit action on your mobile app. Here again, you would typically have this be pretty similar to your details or your detail view layout and your edit view layout. So same thing here. It's just dragging and dropping the fields that you want to include on your layout, just like using any of the other layout editors in Sugar to do that. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. So hopefully we're going to switch back to the slides. Please. And again, let us know if you're having issues. You should be seeing some slides that Justin is going to talk about with the Mobile Application Configuration Service.
That is correct. I will talk about the Mobile Application Configuration Service, otherwise known as MACS. MACS is available for enterprise subscriptions and up, and it allows you to do some basic configuration of the mobile application before it is deployed out to your users. The basic configurations are things like modifying the logo and color scheme, and I think the coolest thing is to preset the Sugar URL in the settings. A lot of times when we roll out mobile, users don't know what their URL is that they're supposed to put into the mobile application. So this is an easy way to get around that and make your users' lives easier. In addition, Sugar likes to push out updates to the mobile quite frequently.
Apparently we still can't see slides. Do you have the PowerPoint just on your desktop? I don't right now, but I could get it if I need to.
I do.
Okay. Why don't you
Like just share it on the desktop?
Yeah.
Yeah, if the desktop is showing up, do it that
See
way.
if I can share my screen here. Share. Hide that. Click this.
Okay, so according to my audience view, I can see what you're doing right now. Help me out, people. Can you see this?
There. Everyone see my awesome slides? All right, Mobile App Configuration Service. Again, you can modify the logo, the color scheme, and pre-populate the Sugar URL. In addition, Sugar likes to send out updates to the mobile app quite frequently. If you wanted to kind of slow that cadence down a little bit, you can control which releases are pushed out. This configured app is released via the Google and Apple app stores. So you do need a development account with both of them if you're planning to release for both Apple and Android to go through their Play Store. And that's where, going back to installation, it can get a little tricky because there can be multiple Sugar applications out there, either customized for a specific use case or customized to a specific company that you may see out there. So you want to make sure you're getting Sugar's version of their mobile app. And this will also work well with the mobile device management software, of course, pushing out. So it's probably going to get a lot more use with larger companies. The other way you can customize the mobile app is with the mobile SDK. SDK stands for Software Development Kit. It allows you to essentially add any customization you want into the mobile application. We've seen mobile applications built that will show mapping of contacts around another contact or accounts around another account, kind of proximity search mapping that can be pretty cool, as well as routing for driving directions for salespeople. We've looked at doing customizations for things like being able to send emails out of the Sugar app in order to record those to history. And this is not all that different from customizing the Sugar web client. And in that way, you have to be aware of what customizations you're making to the mobile app, because they're going to have to play nicely or be updated to work with any future Sugar updates to the mobile app. So you just want to keep that in mind. This is can be quite the undertaking because you're actually programming a new app. New releases. Sugar released version 9.0 on April 4th. This is their yearly cloud and on-premise release. If you're on-premise, you're going to want to upgrade as soon as possible. If you're in Sugar Cloud, I believe everyone's been upgraded by now, so you've been upgraded. There is some cool new features. I like the ability to have shared email accounts, so we can have multiple people emailing out of support@techadv.com out of Sugar CRM. In addition, they've done some work with making sure you set the reply to name and email address correctly so it doesn't look like all emails are coming from notifications@techadv.com. They added a new field type for the comment log. You do have to be a little wary of that because it doesn't play well with list views, searching, and history. But it's kind of neat, especially on a case where you might want to type in a log and it'll log who typed that and what their note was, and then you can just keep adding notes to a comment log. Sugar BPM has some new enhancements and bug fixes that have gone over really well. I've been working with them recently.
On the mobile side, Sugar 6.5 is the latest release that had new features in it. And one of those new features was the global search change that I mentioned earlier, which is using the same functionality behind the scenes for global search both in the mobile app and web application so that you're getting consistent search results. The other changes that were new in that version were around currency preferences. So if you have a preferred currency, for users who, especially if you've got multiple currencies set up in your system, it will use their preferred currency automatically when they're creating records, and it will show them things in their preferred currency as well. And since then, there have been a couple of minor releases that have all been bug fix releases. So the last 3 releases after that, there were some fixes for some login issues, as well as a fix for an offline searching issue that was related to that global search change. And then, of course, every time they update the mobile app, there are corresponding updates to the mobile SDK because, as Justin mentioned, the customizations that you might do through the mobile SDK have to be kept up to date with the latest release of Sugar as well.
In recent news, Sugar CRM acquired Sales Fusion. That was May 16th. Sales Fusion is a marketing automation platform similar to Acton or HubSpot or Eloqua.
I think it's Eloquia. Carry on. Just saying.
Eloquia. It has a lot of cool functionality. It has a pretty tight integration with Sugar CRM, and I am very excited to see where they take that integration in the future. I know people want to have their CRM and marketing automation solutions tied very closely together. So I think this is a very good acquisition for Sugar. Our next user group will be all about Sales Fusion, and that will be August 22nd. I believe that's a Thursday.
Yes, I also just noticed that that link wasn't showing up, so I just added it. However, don't worry if it's not showing up. If it is in there, it'd be on the bottom of your screen. There's something called widgets, and there's a little green one with looks like a piece of paper with some writing on it, and that's where you'll find the link to register for that. However, if you don't see it, when I send the follow-up email tomorrow, I'm going to include the slide deck. So anyone who is having technical issues, you can have that. In addition, you'll get the recording of this, and I will also put the registration link in there as well. So in any case, you will get that information. Okay, so that kind of wraps up our topic today. I want to thank Justin and Megan, as always, for awesome presentations here and giving us some deeper insight on the product. If there are any additional questions that you have, now's the time. Otherwise, you can see our profiles on the side there where you can easily reach out to us with any questions you think of later. And I hope you'll all join us in August for the user group on Sales Fusion. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.